Siomra beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast that takes a pop at culture.
Sure look, sure listen. Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen. Oh, very good, Benjamin. We've got a busy week this week because there's been a load of trailers, including a couple of weird ones. But sure, look, we'll talk about them in a minute. First, I'm going to list them. Ben, you ready?
Yeah, I'm
Don't talk
strapped
during my
in.
bit, Ben. Don't talk.
Oh,
during my
sorry.
bit. We're going to look at the trailer for White Dragon, starring Jason David Frank in his last ever film. Also, the first trailer for Gen V, the weird and open brackets unnecessary close brackets The Boys spin-off from Amazon. And you've put up a trailer for what you've written as Castlevania Nocturne, which I don't think is what it's called, but it's close enough. And just before going to air, Marvel released a trailer for Loki Season 2. How exciting.
Yeah.
Further to that, Ben, I've seen all of Secret Invasion.
Oh, God.
I've forgotten most of it, though, so it'll be grand. It'll be a very quick review.
Very, very good. Sure Listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough.
What?
Michael.
What?
It's been a great week for cinema.
A great day for the parish.
Great day for the parish altogether. Now, Barbenheimer is away at the races and it's making everybody lots of money. So for the next 3 years, we can expect an awful lot of plastic doll movies and nuclear explosion movies. Those are going to be so
good.
in right now. We're going to get Oppenheimer 2 in space.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get Polly Pocket, which is not a bit. That's actually been greenlit. Polly Pocket, starring Lily Collins and possibly directed by Lena Dunham.
Oh, very clever. That's exactly like the Barbie movie. The only problem with that is I think Lily Collins is normal sized.
Yeah, they'll have to shrink her down. But anyway, we decided to take a look at other moments in cinema history where...
That really made me laugh, Ben. The matter-of-factness with which you said that I have to shrink her down. You really just broke me there. You completely broke through my podcasting facade. I actually turned away from the mic to stifle a laugh. I forgot that we're allowed to laugh. That was so funny. Fabulous work, Ben. 10 out of 10 podcasting, I must say.
I'd say you can probably tune out here, ladies and gents, because that's probably peaked. It's probably peaked.
I'll have to shrink her down, he says. Ben, speaking of 10 out of 10 fabulous podcasting, wouldn't it be great if anyone were listening, if they were to hop up on their podcast provider of choice and give us an old 5-star review? Our mates, Ben, over at the Retro Gaming Ireland, no, that's Retro Gamer Ireland, that's Nisha, the Press Any Button podcast, they've got literally tens of hundreds of 5-star reviews, Ben.
Oh, why can't we get any of those, Michael?
Because we never ask people, so we're going to.
Oh, please give us some reviews, please.
It's very good for helping other people to find the podcast. So if you think that other people would be as amused by me being that amused by Ben saying, they'll have to shrink her down, Mick, then give us an out 5-star review. This is one of the worst promos I've ever done, Ben. But give us an out 5-star review.
Just do it.
On your
Just
podcast app of choice. Or else Ben will come and he'll just shrink you down.
I'll shrink you down, like Polly Pocket and Lily Collins. Come here to me, Michael. There's a thing here that made me very worried when I saw it on our joint notion. And you wrote down Rise of the White Dragon. And I went, oh no, Mick's gone to the Aryan side of things. Oh no.
Oh, I forgot the White Dragon was an Aryan thing, Ben. But it's not about the Aryan race. It's about Jason David Frank.
It could be about the Aryan race. We don't know.
It could be, I suppose. We haven't seen it.
We don't know. Michael, this is a fan Power Rangers film.
You say that, Ben. But what makes it a fan Power Rangers film?
The fact that it says in the YouTube description of the video, a full feature-length fan Power Rangers film.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, all right. Well, I can't argue that point, can I?
No, not really, because it's written, you see, on YouTube. And if there's one thing the internet has taught us, it's that whatever's on the internet is true.
Yeah, especially YouTube. Benjamin, this is from the group Bat in the Sun. You're familiar with them.
I'm not. No,
Are you not,
you're going to have to fill me in there.
Huge on the internet 10 years ago-ish, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
For their web series, Superpower Beatdown.
Oh, I remember that.
You remember that, Ben? Who would win the fight between Batman and Darth Vader?
Probably Darth Vader.
Who'd win the fight between Wonder Woman and Wolverine?
Probably Wonder Woman.
Yeah, who'd win the fight between, I don't know, Optimus Prime and Iron Man?
Probably... I'm going to be controversial here. Iron Man.
You reckon?
He'd use a techno-virus. He'd get him.
No, he'd get him. And Optimus Prime wouldn't know what to hit him, Ben. But what about Optimus Prime's tens of millions of years of combat experience?
Sure, Michael, he's a big lumbering fella. He is no match for a Jarvis. Get Paul Bettany in there.
Get Paul Bettany right up in him. But Benjamin, that's not important, because the people behind that are the ones who've made this, and they obviously formed a link.
Very good.
With Jason David Frank when he was doing their Superpower Beatdown Power Rangers episodes.
Because there was a few of them, weren't there?
There were. They did Ryu versus Power Rangers one, and they did others.
And they did others, yes.
Yeah.
So, Michael, this looks to be... So, I think it is based on Jason David Frank's original character, isn't it?
I don't know.
Does he not say the name of the character?
No. The character's name is Tommy.
Oh, okay. He doesn't say that then.
No, they don't say that. So I don't think they're using the names of Power Rangers characters. I think it's just a vaguely Power Ranger-esque universe.
Oh, I don't know if that's what I want to watch.
But, I mean, how else are they going to get it made?
Well, here's a question for you. How did they get it made? Jason David Frank has sadly shuffled off his mortal coil.
Well, I assume what's happened there if they've made it before he died.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because otherwise, Ben, the SAG-AFTRA strike would also have prevented them making it.
No, Michael, because famously, Power Rangers actors are non-union actors.
Yes, but Benjamin, Michael Madsen is in this.
Is he?
Michael Madsen is in it.
How?
I don't know.
How'd they get him? That fella off the John Wicks is in it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. Mark Caracas?
I couldn't tell you.
Him. Anyway, yeah. He huge action star. Huge action star. Michael Madsen is in it.
Yeah.
Now, Michael Madsen doesn't have the most discerning taste of appearing in films.
He doesn't.
Anything he's been in that's been good has been mostly by accident.
Yes, completely. As they say, even a broke clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, even though it has no money. They've got a kind of cut-rate Gina Carano.
Yeah, I saw that. Very interesting.
I was looking at it going, is that Gina Carano or is that cut-rate Gina Carano?
It's not Gina Carano. It's someone they get to stand in for Gina Carano on set occasionally.
Yeah. When Gina Carano needs to go off and do a racist rant.
Probably a non-union actress.
I reckon this is... I don't think Gina Carano's a racist, by the way. That was a joke, just as a little disclaimer. Ben.
Yeah.
I imagine most of the people in this, if Michael Madsen in it, he's definitely SAG-AFTRA. I think most of them probably are union actors.
That's quite a turn for the books.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is... There's something a little bit ghoulish about it, isn't there?
It seems a bit sinister, Michael. I don't know if I think there's going to be some dodgy Jason David Frank CGI in there. I think the reason this has taken so long is because quite a large part of the movie maybe wasn't finished.
And they filmed a lot of scenes from the back of his head.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of strange added dialogue out of picture. No moving mouths, thank you very much.
There's going to be a lot of... which Bruce Lee film was it that was made after he died?
Oh, I can't remember.
Enter the Dragon?
Post Bruce
Lee. There's going to be a lot of that. Yeah, and I mean the fact that this is getting a big release, this would have been straight to the web if Jason David Frank hadn't died.
Yes, and probably maybe should have been straight to the web.
Well, we'll never know, because the chances are we're going to instantly forget to watch it as soon as this ends.
That seems to be the track record of our year so far, Michael. Oh, this looks great. Nah, just
watch that. Haven't got time watching reruns of Fringe.
Yeah, I don't feel like watching that. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I'm on
Michael,
season 4 of what?
Speaking of things that are going to be a questionable watch.
Yes.
We got a trailer for Gen V.
Yeah. So this is the college freshman spin-off of The Boys.
Yeah, so this is interesting. This follows on from a direct storyline in the awful Boys comic.
No time for it.
Don't read it. Just don't do it. Every time it comes up, ladies and gentlemen, we turn around and tell you flat out, don't do it.
So mean, very unpleasant.
Very unpleasant. Just you'll want several showers afterwards and probably a good heaping dose of bleach. It's not a fun time. Don't read it. But there's an arc in that around the Godkin school, Michael, or the Godolkin school. It depends on
Godolkin, yeah.
Yeah, the Godolkin school. And it's their version of Professor Xavier off the X-Men's.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So this is what Gen V is. As opposed to X-Men, it's Gen V. And then after the drug, obviously, Generation V, Generation X, so on and so forth. Lots of overlaps there.
Yeah.
And it looks to have some of our favourite characters in there. There's a few cameos popping up.
Oh, were there?
Yeah, there was the Congresswoman.
Oh, not our personal favourite characters.
No. From the boys.
Oh, right, okay.
From the boys. So it looks to be tied in some way, Michael. We did get a taste of this already, Michael. We got a little glimpse into this in the boys animated anthology that came out on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah, we both watched it. I can't remember what it was called.
Something Carnage or Mayhem. One of those words was in there somewhere.
The boys, Blood Knuckles.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll happily accept that as the title. So that's a very good anthology on Amazon Prime that we definitely remember, Michael. The Boys, Blood Knuckles. And yeah, in that we got a little glimpse into what happens to young people that flop out of the Gen V program.
Oh yeah, they were in a garage and they all got killed.
Yeah, they don't get an actionable power. That was written by now noted ghoul, bloody Justin Roiland.
Oh, was it? Of course it was. Yeah. No, Ben, I think innocent of ghoulism.
Oh, well. Anyway. We'll get into that another time on the podcast, Michael.
Yeah, we'll get into trial by internet another time. Ben.
Yes.
Whereas The Boys seems to be a pastiche of superhero movies and big Amazon culture.
Yes.
This seems to be a pastiche of progressive college politics and safe spaces.
I think it's a little bit of a pastiche of that. I think it's a little bit of pastiche of TV series that were very popular when I was a teenager. The One Tree Hills, the OCs, that kind of gig. I think it's a little bit of a play on the sexy CW-fication of things like Archie and things like Sabrina. I think it's probably a little bit of a taking a shot at that. We're going to get some sexy superheroes undercut by immensely graphic violence, Michael.
Like that man who gets punched right through the mouth.
I will never be able to unsee that, Michael.
It goes the wrong way through the mouth, even.
What a jarring shot.
Yeah, on that man, yeah.
Jarring, upsetting shot. Jesus. Fabulous stuff.
I don't like this genre.
Of?
I don't watch here's pretty people going to college dramas.
Well, yes, because you're not a pretty person possibly going to college.
Excuse me.
You're a pretty person doing podcasts with a full-time
job. I could go to college
job.
if I wanted.
You're a pretty person doing full-time podcasting.
Thank you, Ben. But I don't know if the trailer gets across enough that this is going to be a boys-esque pastiche, or is it actually for that audience?
It misses the mark by a country mile. Michael, if they really change the tone of, because I think The Boys is one of the best TV shows we have at the minute. I think The Boys consistently shows up and delivers a very interesting superhero experience that is genuinely outside the norm with great performances and decent writing. And the crux of that, or the cornerstone of that, is the almighty piss-taking that it does of the superhero genre. And I think if they take that away in favour of I'm sexy and I've got powers and I'm going to be the first female black superhero on the 7. And if they turn it into a Georgia seizes the day kind of gig, it's completely against the original tone. And it means that she can't join the 7. That's
unless let's say that it is sincerely about the struggles of being a black female superhero, and she really does She is the most powerful and the most sincere and the best of them. And she overcomes her struggles and she joins the Seven. And then Homelander kills her on her first day because she looks at him wrong.
It could happen. He deafened a blind superhero because he was too sincere.
Yeah, he punched Daredevil in the ears.
We'll never forget that scene.
Horrible stuff.
And that man was earnest. Daredevil was earnest.
So earnest.
And then we got the famous meme now, Ashley, look at me, which is just a belter. But come here to me, Michael.
What is it?
It'll be very hard to marry those two tones. So I don't think that's what we're getting. I think this trailer is misrepresenting the show we're going to get. I think...
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I'm doing this as a bit.
Oh, I think...
Yeah?
What we're probably going to get is a very deep look at the sexual harassment, shady goings on of college cover-ups and schools protecting their star athletes and things like that. You know that we see in private schools sometimes, or even here in Ireland when you hear about someone on the GA county squad doing something heinous and then everybody being like, oh, he's a good lad. He wouldn't do that.
Do you reckon, though? Because I kind of hope that the trailer is misrepresenting the show, because I think that that's what a sincere show of that nature would be about it now.
Yeah, I suppose, but I mean, it's interesting because The Boys definitely deals with those themes, and certainly in the second season, or the third season? Are we on the third season or the fourth season of The Boys coming up?
I don't remember.
I think it might be
fourth.
I think it might be the fourth coming up, but the third season goes in hard on those themes of like sexual harassment and, you know, dodgy politics to get to the top and stuff like that. So I think you might just see that theme expanded on in Gen V.
But that's what I mean. That's what it doesn't excite me.
Oh, okay.
You know, sure. I mean, I recognise that it's an issue in society today, but it, like, the secret sexual harassment and power dynamics of college, I just do not care.
As long as they don't go the direction of the absolutely horrific Boys comic.
Yeah, no, that's the worst.
Because that's all about how Godolkin is a child molester and has just been using his school as a feeder school for himself.
Yeah, it's a pedo ring. Gross. Ben.
Yeah, gross.
Speaking of gross pedo rings, what's worse? Pedo rings or Dracula?
Probably pedo rings.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Jesus. Yeah. What a segue, Michael. That might be your worst segue ever. That might be up there with with The Boys comic.
I'm saying they're both
awful.
bad.
They're both bad,
terrible.
but one is clearly worse, and it's the first one that you said.
Well, there's no proof that Dracula's not a pedo.
There isn't, but fucking hell. Michael, we got a trailer for Castlevania Nocturne.
Yeah, go on. I didn't watch it.
Castlevania Nocturne, Michael, looks to be all the sexy bits of Castlevania, the first series on Netflix anime, and they just went, what if we make it more kind of gender ambiguous and more erotically charged and just a bit sluttier? What if we do that?
Oh, I didn't watch this, Ben.
That's what they've done. They've taken the dial and they just pushed it all the way up to 11 because now it's in France. So top 10 points for that.
Country.
It's the sexiest country, right?
Is that why you're wearing a stripy top today, Ben?
That's exactly why, Michael. That's exactly why. In honour of Castlevania Nocturne on Netflix, I've decided to don a horizontally striped pastel blue and white top.
You look like you've broken out of a 1920s Georgia prison.
It's the prison uniform from Paddington 2.
He got it on special order in the Disney store.
I got it on special order in the Disney store, Michael. But come here to me. This really is. You think I'm joking? It's not. The character designs have become more gender ambiguous than the originals. Everybody's a bit sexier. There's an awful lot of whispery dialogue going on. There's an awful lot of pensive staring into the distance going on.
Staring.
This is set in during the French Revolution, Michael.
Oh la la.
There are rumours of a vampire messiah coming along. It looks to be a Marie Antoinette style vampire.
Oh, that's very Castlevania.
Yes, who's going to crush the revolution. We look to have a very ethnically diverse cast of characters who are all fighting the revolution. They think they're fighting against the likes of aristocracy in Paris. What they're actually fighting against, Michael, is vampires.
Oh, vampires, good. I thought you were going to say pedo rings.
No. Everybody should be fighting against those, but it doesn't look like that will be the main focus of Castlevania Nocturne, Michael.
Very good, Ben.
Now, Michael, this is set sometime after the Castlevania Netflix series, which was phenomenally successful.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Great. Absolutely phenomenal anime series. I'm not a big anime fan myself, Michael, as you know. I was a big Castlevania fan because I used to play all the Game Boy releases of the Castlevania games on my little purple Game Boy Advance when I was a wee lad. So I was very involved in that, and that was set around Trevor Belmont and his kind of era. Alucard was in there, Dracula's son famously, and Dracula was the main villain. This is set a few years on, Michael, and as usual, the Belmonts are having a terrible time. So this is centered around Victor Belmont, who lost his mother to a big sexy vampire in a purple coat that looks a little bit like Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Looks a bit like
If
Prince.
he was if he followed the naming logic of the Castlevania series, though, and he was Prince's son, his name would be Ekenip.
Ekenrup.
Yeah.
Ekenrup. So Ekenrup goes, oh, your mum took someone very special for me, so I'm going to kill you anytime I want. But he's all sexy and whispery and close up.
Oh, yeah. Very good, very sexy. And French?
And French. It looks to be attempting, Michael. Well, it's got an American voice actor, but you'll find that they're all speaking French or some such. Yeah. You know, the same way that everybody in the original Castlevania was speaking Wallachian. Wallachian. I'm not sure. If any experts in Romania and Transylvania could get in touch with us, please, and tell us, is it Wallachian or Wallachian? That'd be great. But come here to me.
What is it?
They look to have moved the magic system on a little bit as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So originally, Michael, the trio of main characters in the original Castlevania series are Trevor Belmont, Alucard, and her name is going to escape me now.
Maria?
It's not Maria. Cypher is her name. Her name is Cypher. Or Sifa. It's one of those. I cannot remember exactly. Cypher is the magic, Trevor is the muscle, and Alucard is the vampire swifty expert.
Wait, okay, go on.
And they broke it up like that. But apparently now the Belmonts have all got a bit of magic in them. Because of course, as you'll remember, Cypher and Trevor Belmont end up being quite the item in the Castlevania series.
I don't remember any of this, Ben. Is this from the show? Because I haven't seen it.
This is from the show. Yeah, this is from the show, Michael. So obviously that genealogy has continued, and because we're a couple of decades, possibly generations later, maybe the Belmonts have got a little bit of magic going on. So they seem to have the elemental powers of Cypher in the thing. But a lot of them do.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Speaking of the elemental powers of the gods.
Go on.
The Loki Season 2 trailer goes out of its way to remind us that he is supposed to be a god and a frost giant.
Yeah, it was probably about time they did that, really, Michael, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not just a sexy Englishman.
Michael, do you think somewhere in Los Angeles they all sat down around a table and go, do you remember when people liked our Marvel movies?
What we do?
What was that? Was that when we actually treated the gods of Asgard like gods? Was that what that was?
Was that part of it?
What if we just...
was it? What was it? Was it Tom Hiddleston specifically?
I think it probably was. But I tell you what, we'll double down, double bluff, and we'll get Tom Hiddleston in, but we'll make him a big god again.
Yay!
Yeah. Now, Michael, we got a trailer for Loki Season 2, as you said, and I have to say, I'm kind of into it.
It's definitely the best trailer that they've done in a while, but I do not hold up any high hopes for this, Ben, because every one of the Marvel series has had at least one okay trailer.
That's true. Have there been any Marvel series at this point that we like?
None that have stood the test of time as strong.
Yeah.
Some of them had high points,
yeah,
and some of them are okay overall.
Yeah.
Like WandaVision had high points, but kind of let itself down with its back end.
It's because they just went back to the Marvel formula.
Yeah. Hawkeye was kind of all right overall. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great.
No.
Moon Knight had a couple of good episodes and a couple of absolutely dire ones.
Some dingers.
Yeah, some real hummy G's. I can't. What other shows have there been? No, basically none of them that are out and out hits.
It's not good when you can't remember them.
No, Loki season 1 was.
It was grand.
Kind of
It was just
all
Doctor
right.
Who for Marvel.
Yeah, Dr. Marvel.
Dr. Marvel. But come here to me. This looks to be Dr. Marvel too, but now they've made a smart decision and they've given us more Owen Wilson.
Yeah,
And that, Michael, that's all I ever wanted. Just give me more Owen Wilson. That's what
I thought he
want.
died.
Did he?
Didn't he?
No,
he
he
get
didn't.
deleted?
No,
Did
no,
he get
he didn't.
undeleted?
No, he didn't. But when they got deleted, Michael, they didn't go anywhere except to the nowhere place. Do you remember?
Oh, they just went to that nowhere place and they just went and got him back.
Yeah, they just went and got him back, Michael. Just went and got him back. But come here to me. All our favourites are there. There's bloody Loki. There's Sexy Lady Loki. There's bloody Agent 31. I can't remember her name.
No.
She's there.
good.
Bloody Owen Wilson, also known as Mobius.
Mobius Strip, yeah, he's there.
Mobius Strip, he's there. Bloody, we've got some new characters.
Oh, how exciting.
Everybody's favourite Oscar winner. Fuck.
Now, I have to say then, I sat down before this week's podcast and said, what's Ben going to do? How is he going to handle not knowing this actor's name this week? Is he going to call him Short Round? Is he going to call him the man who was in Everything Everywhere All at Once? Or is he going to have learned his name?
No.
And what you've done is you've gone with none of them. You've just stalled out.
Yeah. I'm doing that more now as I get older. I'm just like, fuck.
So I've
I
spun
think
my
it's
wheels
wisdom.
there.
I think it's
I've
wisdom.
It is, Ben. They say it comes with age. I've spun my wheels there to let you look him up and learn his name online.
Sadly, I didn't do that, Michael, because as I said, I shorted out, Michael, so I'm afraid it's game over. We're just going to call it here, ladies and gentlemen. Big old bigot. It's Kihui Kwan, but I could be pronouncing that horribly wrong, and I really apologise.
Well, it's the effort, isn't it? It's the effort that counts.
Well, I very rarely make an effort, Michael, on anything to do with this podcast. But anyway,
You're wearing a nice jumper.
Kiwi Kwan for a sexy Castlevania bit.
All right, great. Jonathan Majors is back.
Why is he there dressed as Nikola Tesla? What was that about?
He's back. And he's got a funky 20s haircut.
He had finished that before the accusations had surfaced, Michael. So Loki had wrapped filming by the time those accusations had surfaced. So it's not surprising to see him there. It's maybe surprising to see him not cut out.
Yeah.
And reshot.
Well, maybe not. I don't think it's even not surprising to see him not cut out because he's probably in it substantially. But surprising that they banged him in the trailer.
Oh, he's right there.
Yeah. Almost a statement of support in some ways.
Some would say that. I don't know if everyone would say that, but I would certainly look at it as he'll get off. We think he's fine.
Yeah. Not necessarily he'll get off, but more maybe we support him.
Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting choice. I look. I think more and more, Michael, we're seeing the majestic red carpet of the flawless star being ripped away, especially when it comes to our male leads. Male leads just keep fucking it up. Or non-binary leads in some cases. We had Ezra Miller on The Flash. We had Jonathan Majors, who had just really peaked in his career with Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man. He was the best thing about Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
Ant-Man 5?
Ant-Man 7. There weren't a lot of good things about Ant-Man 2, though. I mean, it's Jonathan Majors. It's surprising. It is surprising to see him in the trailer. I don't know if it's necessarily a direct support of him, but maybe Disney is a little bit more supporting of its stars facing accusations rather than, proven
Convictions
for wrongdoing.
Yeah.
So
DC.
I mean, you could almost argue that it's not really a political statement to support your actors until it's proven that they've done something wrong.
I suppose it's really not.
And then go, oh no, he's a bad egg, get rid of him.
I feel like that directly contravenes current internet culture.
It very much does. Much does. You only need to look at Justin Roiland, who has essentially been proven, as far as the law is concerned, proven completely innocent, but completely lambasted by the internet and his studios.
Yep. Not on this
We'll have
podcast,
nothing to do
Michael.
with
Fuck him. Not on this
Well, luckily,
podcast.
Ben, luckily we have no decision-making power over Justin Roiland's life.
Not a drop. Not a
a
drop.
single ounce.
Unless, ladies and gentlemen, you give it to us. Give us a
unless-
review or a like wherever you listen.
Yeah.
And
Or send us some money on Patreon so Ben can start a Justin Roiland legal defence fund. Benjamin,
or the
speaking
opposite.
of...
What's the opposite? No, hang on. There's more to be said here about
Oh, you've got more to say about
Loki
Loki. Okay,
season
go
2. Looks like they've learned a few lessons from season 1. Number 1, we're big fans of the magic moments of Loki. Like you said, making him a god again is an important choice because he really wasn't in season 1. He was slick with a knife and he had a little bit of worldly knowledge and he was a bit slippery. He was snake. He was snake, but he wasn't necessarily the god that we've come to know. He was certainly a depowered Loki.
Yeah, I mean, literally. That was the whole point. It's like, oh, your powers don't work here. Oh, your powers don't work on me. Oh, these sticks work on you. Oh, everything is against you.
But I think the fact that he's time slipping now is going to make him some kind of weird anomaly and give him a little bit of a shimmy shammy back or some such. But they've learned a little bit of that. It looks like we're going to get more adventures in time.
Which is kind of what we wanted from the first one, I think. And
That's what
didn't
I thought. Yeah.
get as much as we maybe thought we were going to.
That's what I thought we were going to get in season 1. But we
Yeah.
didn't. And we
No,
really
we really
wanted
didn't.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're probably going to get a bit more of that. As I said, they've upped the Owen Wilson, which I can only applaud. Give me more Owen. Make
Unless
it
he turns
happen.
out to be a bad egg, Ben, and then in which case you'll be...
Then I'll have to lambaste him. I'll have to add him to the dartboard wall.
add him to the Patreon.
Add him to the Patreon. The Anti-Legal Defence Fund.
Legal
Sorry,
attack
the
fund.
Anti-Defence Legal Fund. There we go. I got it eventually. But Michael,
What?
one of the things that I really liked about this trailer is it has a visual identity.
It's Loki.
One of the things, it's not necessarily that, but it's the brass, copper, green tones, the pastel kind of retro tones that we saw established in season 1. They have been amped up to 11, Michael. And the point where I noticed that in this one is the key lime pie that Owen Wilson is eating. It's the same shade of green as the rest of the office. And I was like, that's commitment. That is a visual identity for your show. Good work. Because if there's one thing that we can say that the Marvel shows are lacking in, it's any kind of visual flair. They're so bland, Michael.
Again, except those first couple of episodes of... I don't know what that means. What are you doing?
See, I was giving you a little in for Secret Invasion there.
Yeah, okay. Except for those first couple of episodes of WandaVision, which were great.
Yeah, and
They had a fabulous visual identity. And, Ben, except for, but not except, exactly the entirety of the tremendous waste of money and manpower that was Secret Invasion. So the big question for Secret Invasion, Benjamin Colopio, I'm asking you this personally. Where in the hell did all that money go? Because this thing cost $212 bazillion.
212 million quid.
212 million American United States dollars.
6 episodes.
6 episodes, many of which were 28 to 35 minutes.
Nothing in the modern TV landscape.
Where did that money go? They weren't 6 episodes set on distant planets.
Nope.
Or in fantastical spaceships or in fantasy worlds. They weren't CGI armies marching across landscapes to battle each other. There were... Where did that money go?
They just pissed it away, Michael.
I mean,
Was it Samuel L.
honest to
Jackson?
God. Apparently, Samuel L. Jackson got 10 million.
That's not a lot.
It's not. It's a fucking
It's a
lot,
fuck ton.
Ben.
It's a fuck ton of money.
It's an absolute shitload of money for essentially a couple of weeks' work. But I mean,
Marvel, I'll do it for 1 million.
amount of money. Ben will do it for 1 million.
I'll do it for 1 million.
Be so racist, you will get shut down.
I'll do
But
my
he'll
own
do it.
shape-shifting. I literally break my bones and fit them into a shape that pleases you.
Oh, I don't know how to do that for $1 million. But Ben,
Yes.
there must have been a tremendous waste of money behind the scenes on this, because It has no visual identity.
None.
It looks like a slightly better Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's there are very few big CGI scenes in it. There's a couple of action scenes of like men firing CGI guns on country roads.
Not
With a helicopter.
requiring a $212 million budget.
I mean, I don't know. I genuinely don't know where all that money went. It's absolutely incredible. I'd say the cast probably cost $25 million.
Yeah.
Which,
okay.
That's obscene.
Yeah.
But the 6 episodes of this cost as much as a blockbuster movie.
Yeah. And nowhere
imagine-
near the delivery.
No, imagine if you had a blockbuster movie which was mostly people talking, including having a large part of it set in an abandoned nuclear power plant that was just basically any abandoned industrial unit.
But that's the same set they've used for Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's the same set they've used for any of the darker kind of spy noir kind of things. Like, there's nothing new in that material. Do you know what I mean?
Ben, I was watching this going, this was 212 million. I reckon I could recreate half of this on my fucking iPhone.
I think you can do this now using Midjourney and some animation software.
I don't even mean that. I mean, a lot of it is just two people talking in a room.
Yeah, we could have shot this ourselves. We did at one point pitch this. We were going to do
insane.
a Moon Knight fan film. And
yes, we were.
it required about as much blocking and script writing as what we've seen in this show.
Incredible. Now, aside from the where did the money go and this having no visual identity and no visual flair, the other thing is the whole thing, and this is going to be an unusually negative rant because this was rubbish. The whole thing was a shape-shifting, paranoid spy thriller without any paranoia, any spying, or any thrillers.
Yeah, they went, this is a good idea, isn't it? Let's not do it.
Let's not do it. Like, it's so easy to do a paranoid spy thriller when the baddies are shapeshifters. In fact, what the worry could be, and what should have been the big problem with this was, if you reveal too many people are Skrulls, it loses its impact.
Yeah.
Like, another one of his friends is a Skrull.
Spoilers just from this point on, because we're...
No,
I mean,
there's
I
no
wouldn't go
spoilers
watch
for
it.
this. It's so bloody... There's nothing to spoil.
Yeah,
this
I
is what I'm
suppose.
saying. There's nothing to spoil in this because there are no twists. Even the twist of the final episode isn't a twist, it's dumbassery. But they're just basic day one screenwriting mistakes. Like, you can't have a paranoid spy thriller if we always know exactly what every character knows and what they're up to.
Yep, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's like a spy thriller with any of the paranoia or mystery taken out of it.
What's most annoying with this, Michael, is this is the original spy formula. This is what spy movies were based on back when they were being made first, before you had any kind of gadget or anything like that. The classic noir films that featured spycraft and stuff like that were a perfect template for this series.
Yeah. Mission Impossible 1.
Mission Impossible 1, even if you wanted to go a bit more modern.
Yeah, fabulous template for this series. Like, maybe a reveal midway through that a couple of people are working against him, and then a big twist reveal of someone who we never expected was a Skrull at the end.
But, Michael, the magnificent mask moves of Mission Impossible 1 are so easy to replicate here. If anything, easier.
If anything, easier. Like, it wouldn't be much like the Secret Invasion comics, because Secret Invasion comic, the big thing was the Skrulls can recreate everyone's powers.
Yeah.
And for that to make sense, that would have had to be the next Avengers movie.
Yeah, but it also would have had to have... So this is interesting. Marvel
a budget of about 212 million.
But this is interesting. Marvel still hasn't coordinated its universe correctly.
Well, it did, Ben.
What I mean by that... No, it didn't. What I mean by that is...
Ben, do you remember Endgame?
Yeah, no, get out of here. That's not even close to what I'm talking about. The heroes here are not best pals the way they are in the comics. In the comics, there are strong allegiances drawn between certain heroes. They are best friends. And the shock value, Michael, of that, of Secret Invasion in the comics was, oh my God, this person we've been friends with for years is a Skrull. This person that I have been in love with is a Skrull. And that was earth-shattering. Here, it's just like, oh, no, Rhodey's a Skrull. Oh,
Rhodey's been a Skrull for a little while.
For a little while? Not even that long, really.
And the real Rhodey's still alive?
And then, and that's the other thing. So in the comics, they were kept off-planet in a weird hive world. There was a whole Avengers kind of mission to rescue those that had been pod-personed. Yeah.
But Ben, that's a weakness of the comic. They should have been dead.
They should have been dead. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get rid of them.
If you were just doing this as a standalone story, then anyone coming back after that reduces the effect of it.
Well, so here's one of the annoying things here, Michael, is there are no stakes in this series, because I have now watched some of it, and I've watched the final episode in anticipation of this, because I was quite interested, because I followed it quite closely from a review point of view.
Yeah, without watching it.
Without watching it, because I don't have that kind of time, Michael. Who has that kind of time?
We have to watch season 4 of Fringe.
We have to watch season 4 of Fringe, Michael. When is it going to be released? Release Fringe! Come here to me.
What?
The decisions they make on stakes here are bizarre. So Talos has kicked the bucket. It wasn't always Talos. It definitely wasn't. It was Talos in one of the films.
I know.
I guarantee
That's one of my favourite things.
Number 2, Maria Hill is gone.
Yeah.
In the most throwaway death scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
Maria Hill's dead.
They're supposed to carry all this weight. Maria Hill, who has been with us since the first Avengers movie, and Nick Fury is just like, oh, I have to go now.
Maria Hill's dead.
Oh, that's terrible. I'll have to go.
I think I've been reading about this. I think that was a golden parachute for Kobe Smulders. I think she got like quite a nice little payday.
I would imagine she did. I would hope she did.
Half an episode worth of screen time.
I would hope she did.
Yeah. She got 4 million, I think.
Did Ben Mendelsohn get a nice out?
Well, Mendo wasn't in that many things.
That's the thing that interests me. Talos really hadn't earned anything other than a Captain Marvel movie and a cameo in Spider-Man.
Yeah. Not much.
Yeah. And then it was just very unearned, Michael. Like, I think they thought they were doing stuff, and like, I watched the entire scene in the hospital with Rhodey, Skrull, and what a contrived stakes there, Michael. So
Redonkulous.
The one thing that we know about Skrulls is when they're dead, they revert to Skrull form.
Yeah.
So Nick Fury does this bizarre bit with the President of the United States where he says, you have to shoot him, sir. Because otherwise we'll be committing treason and we can't do that. Or Olivia Colman's character has 2 guns pointed at vital organs. One of them being the brain.
Yeah. One of the most vital.
And they still go, well, you have to do it, sir. No, you don't. Just shoot him. And then when he reverts to a Skrull, you can go, see? See?
I told you it wasn't him. But Ben, that's indicative of everything wrong with the series. If there were millions of Skrulls, why did they come up with that dumbass plan? They managed to casually replace the Prime Minister of the UK. But then the closest they could get to the US government was Rhodey. Like, surely, if it was that easy to get to the UK, they could have got loads of people into the US government, not just Rhodey, to the point where they didn't even need the president, or, they could have manipulated so it didn't come down to 2 people trying to convince him in a hotel room. When Nick Fury, Ben, he's in the hotel in England, he's in the hospital in England, and the president is in the recovery room.
Yeah.
And Nick Fury pulls up a chair and he does the Riker maneuver and he sits on the chair backwards with a gun in his hand, as though he's the last line of defence for the president. There would be literally hundreds of Secret Service agents there. Armed police, UK police, Interpol. Can you imagine that Nick Fury just pulls up a chair and goes, "Nobody's getting past me, Nick Fury."
But that's another thing about this entire film. They've nerfed Nick Fury.
Yeah, he was useless.
He's useless. He does nothing.
Oh, just dreadful. It was just dreadful. Written is a very kind thing to say about this. It was certainly written down because someone had to have written it down for someone to then read it out.
Yeah.
But I don't think this should have had a credit for written by.
I mean, Midjourney did the title sequence. ChatGPT did the script.
It's unbelievably bad. It really was.
Michael, here's the thing. Like, the whole tagline of this was, "This is my war."
Yeah.
This is my... No, it's not. Apparently, it's Emilia Clarke's war, or Gravik's war, or pick one of the other Skrulls that doesn't really have a good enough reason to bear a grudge against humanity. Gravik's argument here is terrible. Oh, I'm going to take over humanity because they were terrible to me. No, they weren't. Nick Fury used you a bit. Fair.
Calm yourself down.
But I don't know if that's the entire human race that needs to be punished, Gravik.
I know, and they played it almost like, now this could be my own prejudice seeping out, but at least I'm addressing it. But they played it like he had been maybe radicalized. But he seems to have been radicalized by himself.
So in other words, he went down a YouTube hole.
Yeah.
He clicked on it.
But
He clicked on a Jordan Peterson destroys feminists thing.
Yeah,
like,
but
well,
it
you know,
wasn't.
it's the humans. The human race is they're some buckos. You know.
That sounds like if Jordan Peterson was a Muppet.
Yep.
Which
You
I'm
have
not
to
saying he
replace
isn't.
them. Replace them all. Wah!
Anyway, Ben, replace them all. That's a good idea. Get rid of everyone who's currently in Marvel. Start again.
Start again. Anyway, this last point. They've just given up on CGI, have they?
No, that was gas. Did you see Emilia Clarke's little baby Drax arm, Ben? One of the best all-time scenes in cinema and television history was Emilia Clarke flexing her little Drax arm.
But the weirdest part about that, Michael, is Drax isn't one of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe.
No, that isn't even the weirdest part, Ben. It's just beyond reason. Is Drax's tattoo genetic?
Apparently.
Apparently it is. Like, why did she choose a Drax arm, not a Hulk arm or a Thor arm? But also, then you step back and go, why did Nicholas Fury put them all into one vial? But then you also think, what was Nicholas Fury's plan? Like, give them both superpowers and just hope Gaia would beat Gravik? What if Gravik had won that fight?
Then you're fucked.
Why did Gaia win that fight? Gravik had much more experience using multiple powers.
Yeah.
Like,
where was Nick Fury going at the end? Is he going back to the Saber Station? To do what?
To do Captain Marvel 2.
Fuck off. him and his wife. And now,
with
after,
his wife, he's bringing his
after
wife
so
over,
many years of marriage, now she's like, actually, I would prefer to use my natural form. And he's like, you're right. I've been very poor to you. Yeah. I've treated you very poorly. What a shithead. What a fucking show.
I think basically every man who's been in a long-term relationship has had that moment, Ben, where the wife reveals that she's going to stop wearing makeup. And they're like, oh no, this is what you really look like.
That's going to get
misogyny there for you. For your
a bit of misogyny there. Speaking of misogyny.
Yes, go on.
Well, we've had an interesting week, haven't we?
Oh, fucking fabulous week, Ben.
So we do reels here, ladies and gentlemen, on our Instagram, on our TikTok, and on our YouTube. You can go check them out now. You can give them a follow. They're down below in the description. Or give us a review somewhere.
Yeah.
And, we put up one this week, Michael. A very casual reel. Talking about how strange it was that there were so many toddlers in the cinema. Now, when I say kids, I mean 8 years and younger. There was a significant contingent of kids in the thing. I happen to mention, Michael, that it would be a very scarring movie if one of the concepts were to land home. And we turned that into a funny little reel. A funny little reel about a minute long. Michael, that stands at 110k views.
Yeah. You've really poked the bear, Ben.
110k views, 294 comments?
Yeah, the internet's coming for you.
But it isn't. It's coming for itself. I don't have to touch it anymore.
It's gas.
This has become a fascinating thing. So, what's happened here, Michael, and it's worth commenting on. There are three camps that have engaged with this. There are those that perhaps have a little bit of a media literate background who are going, yes, they are quite deep themes. It was quite funny to see young children in the cinema who probably shouldn't be exposed to the concept of death being a constant factor in life.
Now, Ben, I assume the fact that you've used your normal voice for that camp means that's the camp that you most agree with, and you're going to absolutely ridicule the other two opposing camps with humorous voices.
I've gotten you now, Michael. I'm going to ridicule them all. So the other camp is, don't underestimate kids.
There we go. There's that voice.
And there's an army of people being like, kids aren't stupid. I knew about death when I was 5 years old. And I was like,
I actually died when I was 5. So I died when I was 5 and I was grand. So
but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Those comments came across so much so as a really classic example of that lad down the pub who's like, I've slept with loads of girls.
Yeah.
Loads of girls.
I've actually died twice. I died once when I was 5 and I was grand. It didn't even bother me. And then when I died when I was 7, I was prepared for it. Ben just dropped his mic.
Just dropped my mic.
In Ben's effort to ridicule listeners, he's just dropped his mic in excitement. Like, finally a chance to lay into the listeners.
Yeah. And then the third camp, Michael, were people that didn't watch the reel.
Yeah. No, Ben, but that's the thing. The vast majority of the internet don't watch the things they're commenting on, and they have an argument with themselves about what they think it's about.
They went straight to the comments, obviously, when they were watching it, and they were like, oh, so typical of men to bash it as a feminist film. We didn't mention a single thing about feminism as a topic. I said it was a bit weird that 6-year-olds were being taught about death as a constant.
Well, that's a classic man not understanding his role in the patriarchy, Ben.
But I found it so interesting. And then they just started eating themselves.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's like rats in a barrel.
More content for us. Feed the content machine.
So easy, Michael. So easy. And all we had to do was watch. It was bizarre.
Gas. But that's the thing, Ben. Barbie is, whether people... And this statement is not above the issue we're about to discuss, but Barbie is a political film.
Yeah.
It is a film with a message.
Yeah.
What your opinion is on that message, what your take on that message is where you're going to fall in the argument.
Yeah.
And it is sometimes, I would say, the people who are absolutely convinced that their take on it is the right one who are the most wrong. Because like any opinion, there are nuances. But it is the nature of a film which has a message, and you can't say that this film doesn't have a message, that it will be divisive.
But here's the interesting thing, Michael. I went out of my way to choose a clip that neither fell on the side of, it's a man-bashing hate film, and also on the side of, it's such an important feminist text and primer. I avoided that because I was like, I don't really want a cesspit of a comment section. And it came out anyway.
That's interesting. I don't think your 2 points are opposed there, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
But you see what I mean?
But 90% of the people, I think the two opposing points are actually, it's a man-bashing hate film, and the opposite is like, finally a film telling the truth about the patriarchy. But anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter what way you choose it. I intentionally went out of my way to try and choose something that didn't stoke that, because I didn't want to be perceived as someone who was trying to capitalize on divisiveness, but it didn't matter. It found the comment section anyway.
Yeah, found it anyway. It's great.
It's our second most successful real video content ever.
Yeah, it's the most engagement we've had in ages. So we're just gonna do clickbait, argument baiting, divisive topics from now on.
The worst part is, Michael, it's kind of grown on me as a film since then. Like even since my original review, I've kind of come to enjoy it more.
Brilliant.
For what it is.
So since we're only going to be focusing on like argument baiting topics from now on, do you think women should stop wearing makeup after they get in relationships?
Only if they're a Skrull.
I didn't know what you were going to say. I thought you were going to say a scrub.
Only if they're a scrub. No, Michael. No, I'm gonna bow out gracefully from that one. Are we at time? Are we at max time?
No. I'm not telling you to wrap it up.
We've got a bit of time. Lovely. So anyway, let's take a look at the success of this, Michael. Because love it or hate it, god damn, this has been a bonkers weekend. Barbenheimer's $246 million opening weekend extravaganza. You could get yourself one absolutely bottom tier Marvel TV show for that and spare.
Which is fucking insane.
Fucking insane. So the Barbenheimer is Barbie and Oppenheimer's combined figures. So that's two massive blockbuster movies that were only slightly more profitable than the budget of a shit Marvel film or a TV series.
Of a program.
So anyway, it's one of the biggest weekends going. Oppenheimer is doing very, very well with one demographic. Barbie is doing very, very well with another demographic. And Barbie is benefiting massively from a backlash that it is receiving from very insecure men who are going to watch the film and going...
there's the voice again.
They're making a lot... it's going to come out a few times. Once it's out of the box, Michael, it's game over. It's game over. I think my next D&D character is going to be that loud lad down the pub.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I died when I was 7.
I'll hit that lich, no problem. I've hit loads of liches.
I actually went out with a lich, actually.
I went out with a lich for ages. Wrecked my head.
She's gone back to Canada, though.
Wrecked my head. Yeah, no, I just said it wasn't for me, just I'm a bit of a lone wolf,
Dire wolf. I'm a lone dire wolf.
Yeah, like Jon Snow in except
I'm actually
not,
more like Aragorn.
Yeah, I'm actually not a simp like Jon Snow, so,
Yeah.
I like these characters. I think we should do more podcasts.
I'm more like if Aragorn was like more like Legolas,
Yeah, I'm like if Aragorn had a baby with Legolas. Not gay like, but like
no.
Just just like if there was like a magic, if Sauron did a magic,
Yeah, if I was gay though, I'd fuck anyone like Legolas or anything.
I've actually had loads of sex.
Yeah, loads of men. I mean,
this is a fun bit, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen?
No,
this is great.
We've only got like 15 minutes for the main topic, and instead we're wasting on this bullshit.
Come here to me. That got us thinking, Michael. That there have to have been other examples where this happened, where you got an obscenely dark, gritty, realistic film,
right? Go on.
Paired with what can only be described as kind of a cinema extravaganza.
Go on. All right.
By which I mean Barbie and Oppenheimer are polar opposites on the aesthetic spectrum, at the very least.
Yes.
So, pink Barbie Land vibes for Barbie, grim, gritty, dark, weight of history stuff for Oppenheimer. And it got us thinking, Michael. We said to ourselves, has this happened before? Have we had Barbenheimers before? And Michael, I reveal to you that in fact, yes, of course we have.
You know what though, Ben, before we go any further, you know what this is definitely going to show?
Go on.
Hollywood has never learned a lesson that it shouldn't have learned. And we're going to spend the next 5 years trying to recreate this.
Oh yeah, I mean Polly Pocket with Lily Collins and Lena Dunham, that wasn't a bit. That's been lit.
Yeah. And that's going to be paired up with flippin' Chernobyl.
Yep.
The dramatic retelling. But the funny thing about it is, I've forgotten what the funny thing that I wanted to say was. What's funny is, it's a pretty recent invention, this idea of blockbusters avoiding each other.
The double hitter.
No, but okay, so this is a double header, and the kind of funny backstory of why this is a double header.
No, go on.
Is that Warner Brothers were trying to stick it to Christopher Nolan.
Oh.
Because Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan had a fallout over the payment for Tenet and streaming.
Tenet,
and they said and they said to him, send this letter to Christopher Nolan, apartment 10A, France.
Nice.
And that's a throwback to a joke from 5 years ago. And,
give or take,
yeah. And Christopher Nolan said, no, well, if you're not going to give me the proper money, I'm not going to make films for you anymore. And they said, well, fine. You want to do your nuclear bomb film? We're going to nuclear bomb your film by releasing Barbie on the same day.
Simultaneously, great news for Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who got a massive injection of cash to make that happen for their marketing budget. Because I tell you what, without the spite of the Warner Brothers executives, wouldn't be the successful film that it is.
Exactly. But also they've made Oppenheimer much more successful, because that should have been a $50 million indie movie.
Yep, that's essentially what it is. I haven't seen it yet. I must go see it.
But it's going to absolutely make hundreds of millions.
They'll probably make about 3 Marvel movies out of that hundreds of millions.
Yeah, complete waste. But
Complete waste.
what I'm saying is the concept of we have to like avoid competition and we have to really clear out a couple of weeks around this big movie
Yeah.
is relatively recent,
Yeah.
as you're going to talk us through with some examples.
Well, Michael, there's been a few examples, but what I wanted to focus on primarily was bright and shiny versus dark and gritty.
Yes, go on.
Because I think that's the secret sauce that makes this kind of a fun experience. So,
Okay.
in one sense, one of the earliest examples of this, Michael, was in 1982, but it was kind of a mistake. So we got Star Trek 2 and Poltergeist the weekend of June 4th, 1982.
The 4th of June.
4th of June.
Red, white, and blue.
You're 1 month shy of that being accurate, but yes. Yes. Come here to me. Completely different genres, completely different tones, completely different subject matter. Star Trek 2 had some of the original cast, I believe, of the Star Trek franchise, didn't it?
All of them.
Had all of them. Michael, colourful, hopeful, optimistic, space socialism, great stuff all around. Poltergeist, don't leave your kids alone in a big scary house.
Don't leave them alone in the big scary house. But even if you haven't left them alone, you're still going to get in trouble. Star Trek 2 is the Wrath of Khan.
Is it Wrath of Khan?
Yeah, it's Wrath of Khan, and it is not that hopeful. Star Trek 2 is probably the grimmest and grittiest of the Star Trek films.
Oh, God damn. Well, scratch that one off the list, Michael. Chuck that into the bin.
No, this is interesting because I suspect you haven't seen either of these films.
I haven't.
Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan is the grimmest and grittiest of the Star Trek films. And Poltergeist, despite being lumped in with the haunted film subgenre, is the most Spielbergian of that era of horror films. Poltergeist is not The Exorcist.
Okay.
It's not Halloween. It's not Friday the 13th. I would argue even that there are scenes in Star Trek 2 which are scarier than Poltergeist.
Well, Michael, having had my face rubbed in my own piss like a dog who's gone the wrong way, I'm going to jump onto a film where I've seen both of the films.
Oh, very good
on the
idea.
list.
But that's great. That's a really interesting
No,
pairing.
it's a good
Who
example.
won?
It's a good example. Star Trek won the domestic box office, but Poltergeist made more worldwide. Now, by domestic box office, Michael, we mean the American box office.
You mean the American box office. If I say domestic box office, I mean Ireland.
Okay. I meant the American box office when I said domestic
gross.
box office. Yeah. We also got another example of that in Ghostbusters versus Gremlins, which is another kind of twist one, because you'd think those are both horror movies. But Gremlins is an absolute scar-fest, trauma-fest of a film. And Ghostbusters is actually relatively lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd put them very close to each other tonally.
Give or take. I think Gremlins are more terrifying.
Yeah, Gremlins are more terrifying. Gremlins is also a fantastic example of what you were talking about with Barbie, of being one of the most weirdly rated movies of all time. I think it was rated PG or maybe even Universal. And Gremlins was largely... No,
it was. No, I'm just saying, a horrific choice.
But it was very influential in updating the rating system in American cinema in the 80s, because they couldn't figure a rating to put it in, because it was obviously a kid's light-hearted Christmas time comedy, but also a horrible murder fest where old men get run over by combine harvesters or snowplows.
Yeah.
Gross. Who won?
No good. In that particular case, Ghostbusters was the second highest grossing film of the year in 1984, and the Gremlins took 4th place.
Oh, so two massive successes.
Two massive successes, Michael, of practical effects and spooky shenanigans in the 80s.
And Phoebe Cates.
Now, Michael, here's the first proper kind of Barbenheimer style one, I think, that we could possibly say. Batman 1989 with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Same weekend, June 23rd, 1989.
Benjamin, can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I remember this. This is the first one. This is the first one I remember.
Good. Did you see them both in the cinema the same weekend?
I absolutely did not, Ben. I don't
Okay.
think I even saw these two in the cinema. I was 7 in 1989, and I lived in a working-class suburb in Dublin. We were not going to the cinema twice per weekend.
In one weekend, maybe once a year if you were lucky.
Yeah,
Um,
twice a year if it was Christmas.
So
if it was a year with Christmas.
this one is quite interesting because Batman 1989 is a dark, dark, dark film. Tonally, aesthetically, thematically. The Joker's rampage in that film, his method of execution, his end sequence, everything about the Joker in 1989's Batman is harrowing. He's a very twisted cinematic creation. And I think probably a huge departure point from the character who had been struggling to find his place both in the comics and in pop culture in general. Before we had Jack Nicholson's Joker, the closest we'd gotten to a live action version was Cesar Romero and the 1960s version.
What do you mean the closest we gotten? It is a live action version.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, absolutely. The closest we got to a movie version was the TV show version with Cesar Romero, and he was played mostly for yucks.
Yuck. But he had a mustache.
He did. The character in the comics took a very long time to find his darker tone. He throughout the 1960s had flopped as a villain for Batman. He had been big in the 50s, dropped out of relevance in the 60s, came back to the comics mid 70s, and still struggled to find a balance between, am I a homicidal maniac or am I kind of a bit of a japester who occasionally teams up with Batman in a comic if the editor feels like that would be good for issues.
Don't we all struggle to find that balance though, Ben?
Don't we all, Michael? Don't we all? But this Batman 1989 was the kind of guillotine drop for that, and he was then firmly placed as an absolute psychopath serial killer clown from that point on. That was only built on then by Mark Hamill's rendition of the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, which followed on the very next year. Or at the end of that year. I do believe it debuted at the end of that year. But yeah, so that was a big one. And then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. What a wacky little fest. You can go and listen, ladies and gentlemen, to our entire episode dedicated to a retro review in one of our classic Exhumed episodes right here in the channel.
It was great.
It was great. It was a great little film. Very lighthearted. Very, very fun. Strong family themes. The overall winner there, Michael, was Batman. Second highest grossing film of the year. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids didn't even place. It ended up being quite successful on the Disney Channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit later, but didn't really place. Yeah. Another example, and possibly the closest to Barbenheimer that we might have seen, was The Matrix versus 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, what are they?
Your ability to make a show of me on a public broadcast, your constant need to prove that I'm wrong, your annoying habit of actually proving I'm wrong, your relentless need to hold me to account when I get something wrong.
Yeah. This is great. This is so true. This is cathartic for the podcast.
Your quite often infuriating ability to point out that I've done something wrong on the microphone, then only to find out that I actually have.
Yeah.
I suppose, great. Michael, this might be 10 things I hate about me. The way I'm telling it. You're absolutely...
What a revelation, ladies and gentlemen. What a revelation Ben has just had. This is like fucking therapy.
Your absolute commitment to undermining every single international outfit choice I make.
Yeah. Ben.
Yes.
Here's the thing though, right?
Yes.
I haven't seen 10 Things I Hate About You, but I did see The Matrix. Who won?
As far as I know...
Surely The Matrix.
I don't have it there, but I think The Matrix was the highest grossing of all time. Let me grab that. I have it here in front of me.
It wasn't of all time, but it was certainly of that year for sure.
Oh, it was a big blockbuster, boy.
Is that it, Ben? Do you have any more?
No, I've got one more there, Michael. I've got one more, which is very important and related to future topics on this very podcast, Michael. Very exciting. Michael, the one that is probably closest in terms of anything else, because it has Christopher Nolan as the director of one of the films, is The Dark Knight versus Mamma Mia, July 18th, 2008. Now, Michael, I remember this one because I was in the cinema for this one. And very humorously, Michael, my father and I went to see Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight in View Cinema in Liffey Valley, where we have our very own Wednesday night cinema club.
Yes, I know it.
And Michael...
What?
My father and I were incredibly excited to watch Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, sequel to Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And as we were watching, the cinema screen lit up and we saw a shimmering blue ocean. And I said, it must be an ocean sequence. It must be a Batman doing something cool.
Aquaman.
And then, Michael, the dulcet tones of bloody Meryl Streep came across the airways saying, I had a dream. And Michael,
she's not in The Dark Knight.
And then all of a sudden, the screen did the flickery thing. And there was an announcement from the cinema staff that they'd made a mistake on the reel in the thing. That we were, in fact, in the correct cinema for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, but they loaded the wrong film into
what
the
film
thing.
was it?
It was Mamma Mia.
Fabulous.
So I remember this one very, very well. So, Michael, this is probably closest because we have Oppenheimer versus Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia is an absolute popcorn muncher. It's a 100% go, have a good time, have a bit of a boogie, as my mum would say, in the cinema.
But at the same time, kind of aimed at a similar crowd to Barbie.
I would say so.
Women, aimed at girls' night out, but not without its themes of,
Michael, I would say,
and I mean, this is very similar.
I would say that Mamma Mia was Gen X's Barbie.
Oh, go on.
And this Barbie is a millennial Mamma Mia.
Oh, very
is the argument
this
I would
Barbie
make.
Benjamin, you should make a poster that says this Barbie is a millennial Mamma Mia and not explain that, and just
do Meryl
watch it
Streep.
get tens of thousands of comments on the internet.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Just let the internet tear itself apart.
I'll do that in my sleep, Michael. Do that in my sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, what other examples can you think of? What other double headers do you know from your history of cinema watching and other such shenanigans? Let us know in a few different places. You can find us on the interwebs, www.seomrabeag.com, seomrabeag.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
You can also find us on our Acast website, ladies and gentlemen, which is Sure Listen Podcast at acast.com. You can find that there now as well. Yeah, we've got our very own website now with Acast, Michael. I forgot to tell you anything about that, but we'll go through it now in a sec.
Very good.
You can also find us on Instagram at Sure Listen Podcast.
You can. There's literally hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, but we can actually fully claim that. We are relatively popular in the micro pop culture video climate.
Very strange.
Very strange. Popularity feels so strange after years of nothing.
I'll tell you what you should do. You should go on it and just post just a bad take. Post a bad take on something.
Horrible take.
Just do us a favour. Create a fake account. Pop on it. Post a horrible take on something. And just let the shitstorm continue.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't feel like reviewing us where you listen to your podcast, just make up a fake account and post a shit take.
Just post a real shit take on something.
And the internet will look after you in the worst possible way. They will curb stomp you. You will get indifference from me, but an absolute unmitigated typhoon of abuse from the internet. Or, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on TikTok at Look to Listen Podcast. TikTok, which is like TikTok, but not quite. And then we're also on YouTube up there as well. And that's it. I'm done now.
That was fucking low energy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of more of a whimper than a bang.
Energy. Yeah. All right. Well,
all right,
that's
it.
Week.
Bye now.
What are we talking about next week, Ben?
I think we might do an exhumed episode on The Dark Knight, Michael, because it's 15 years old.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah. I haven't talked to you about this, so this is all very new.
Yeah, we'll do it. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll do our history of the rating system.
Oh, yeah. Sexy.
Yeah, let's do it.
All
right, let's continue this podcast production meeting later.
Later. Goodbye.
Right, bye.